Audiobook Academy Biography presents Alexander Graham Bell. More than 18 patents were owned by Alexander Graham Bell, one of the key inventors of the telephone, as well as a pioneer in communication for the deaf. Alexander Graham Bell, who was he? Scottish-born scientist and inventor Alexander Graham Bell is best known for developing the first working telephone in 1876 and establishing the Bell Telephone Company in 1877. Bell's success was a result of his research in sound and the expansion of his family's interest in helping the deaf communicate with each other. On the telephone, Bell collaborated with Thomas Watson. Nevertheless, he also worked on various other innovations, including his flying machines and hydrofoil. Childhood and family. Bell was born on March 3, 1847, in Edinburgh, Scotland. Eliza Grace Simons Bell called her second son Alexander Melville Bell in honor of Alexander's paternal grandpa. The name Graham became a part of his name when he was 10 years old. Tuberculosis claimed the lives of both of his older brothers, Melville James Bell and Edward Charles Bell. Bell's early life was shaped mostly by his upbringing and the people around him. In his homeland of Edinburgh, Scotland, Bell's hometown was known as the Athens of the North. Both his grandfather and father were well versed in the science and art of elocution and the mechanics of the voice. Eliza Bell, Bell's mother, was a gifted pianist despite her deafness, and her example inspired her son to try new things. Eliza taught her kid at home and developed in him a boundless interest about the universe. He attended a private school for a year and then attended Edinburgh's prestigious Royal High School for 2 years. Bell had an unusual capacity to solve issues, despite being a low-achieving student. This occurred to him at the age of 12 while playing with his best friend in a grain mill. With the help of revolving paddles and nail brushes, he created an efficient method of removing the grain's husks. Pre-professional. To succeed in the family business, Alexander's headstrong attitude clashed with father's dominating demeanor at an early age. When Alexander's grandfather fell ill in 1862, he offered to take care of him as a favor. Instilling an interest in learning and intellectual activities in Alexander was encouraged by the elder Bell. He was 16 when he joined his father's deaf ministry and soon took over management of the London branch. Alexander's father made the decision to relocate the family to North America during one of his trips there. Alexander initially protested, since he was well established in London. After both of his siblings succumbed to TB, he finally agreed to compromise. There they established a new home in Brentford in 1870. Alexander set up a workshop in order to continue his research on the human voice while he was in the area. Bell married Mabel Hubbard, a former student and the daughter of Gardner Hubbard, one of his early financial sponsors, on July 11, 1877, in New York City. As a child, Mabel was deaf and mute. Inventions by Alexander Graham Bell. Bell is widely regarded as the inventor of the telephone, and he holds a total of 18 patents, 12 of which he shared with other inventors. Telephone. On March 10, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell made his first telephone call following years of effort on his most famous invention, the telephone. Once he moved to Boston in 1871, Bell began research on what is now known as the multiple or harmonic telegraph, which transmits messages on numerous frequencies. Thomas Sanders and Gardner Hubbard, two local investors, provided him with financial support. While Bell was working on the harmonic telegraph between 1873 and 1874, he spent many nights and days attempting to perfect it. However, he developed a new interest over the course of his experiments, the transmission of human speech over wires. A disgruntled Thomas Watson, an experienced electrician, was engaged to get Alexander Graham Bell back on track with the harmonic telegraph. Bell was the visionary, but Watson had the know-how to turn Bell's visions into reality. The two formed a remarkable alliance, with Watson serving as Bell's go-to man and Bell serving as his trusted advisor. "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." While Bell and Watson were working on the harmonic telegraph and a voice transmitter in 1874 and 1875, they also worked on the harmonic telegraph. Despite their initial displeasure, Bell's investors soon realized the potential of voice communication and sought to patent it. As of today, the idea was protected, but the device had to be built. Bell and Watson ultimately achieved their goal in 1876. Bell is said to have knocked over a jar of transmission fluid and yelled, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you," according to legend. In this case, it is more likely that Bell called Watson after hearing a noise on the cable. In any case, Watson was the first to receive a telephone call after hearing Bell's voice over the wire. As a result of this achievement, Bell was able to begin public demonstrations of the telephone. Bell exhibited the telephone to the Emperor of Brazil, Dom Pedro, during the 1876 Centennial Exhibition in Philadelphia, and Dom Pedro gasped, "My God, it talks!" Following that, a series of even more distant demonstrations took place. At a meeting on July 9, 1877, Bell Telephone Company was formed. During the first transcontinental phone call in January 1915, Bell was invited to participate. He called his former colleague Watson in San Francisco from New York. Other discoveries. It is widely accepted that by 1880, Bell had outsourced his financial affairs to Hubbard and others so that he could focus on a variety of inventions and intellectual activities. Volta Laboratory in Washington, D.C., was created in 1880 by Bell to conduct scientific experiments. The tetrahedral kite in the 1890s was the first step in Bell's exploration of flying machines and devices later in life. The Aerial Experiment Association was founded in 1907 by Bell, Glenn Curtiss, and a group of other individuals. The Silver Dart was one of a number of flying devices produced by the organization. A powered aircraft, the Silver Dart, made its maiden flight over Canada in 1903. Hydrofoils are a type of boat that Bell later worked on and set a world record for. Disputes in the courts. Immediately following their wedding in 1877, Alexander and Mabel went on a European tour to demonstrate the telephone. As soon as they were back in the U.S., Bell was summoned to Washington, D.C., to defend his patent on the telephone from lawsuits. Others claimed to have invented the telephone or to have thought about the idea prior to Bell's work. There were approximately 550 judicial challenges against the Bell Company, many of which got to the Supreme Court, but none of them were successful. The company continued to grow despite the patent disputes. Over 150,000 persons in the United States owned telephones between 1877 and 1886. When Thomas Edison built a microphone for the phone, he eliminated the need for people to yell into it to get through. In later years. In 1890, Bell founded the American Association to promote teaching of speech to the deaf, carrying on his family's work with the deaf. For the next 8 years, Bell served as president of the National Geographic Society, a small, little-known American scientific body. He helped transform the journal into one of the world's most popular journals. Bell is also a co-founder of Science magazine, which he helped start. At his house on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, Canada, Bell died peacefully on August 2, 1922. For 1 minute following his death, the entire phone system was shut down as a mark of respect for his brilliance. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.